everybody, every channel needs a gimmick, and this is Fighter Pilot Poker. I've got some flight gear on, I've got the Negrano angle, everything you need here at Fighter Pilot Poker. Wait, Fighter Pilot, we got poker! So yeah, I got my flight gear on, but we're not gonna talk about flying unless you want to. We're gonna talk about, I got my D Street on, I got my straddle shirt. We're always in the straddle, and I'm excited to take this journey with you. So stay tuned, subscribe if you like it, leave me a comment, and let's get this show going.
Hey guys, Josh from Fighter Pilot Poker. My first vlog, so let me know what things we should improve, what things you'd like to see. But I thought I'd take a little bit of time to introduce myself. Like I was saying, former fighter pilot, turned MBA guy and data analyst, and run a team for a small company, and actually a large company, but a small team in Southern California. I've toyed back and forth with making poker my career over the last few years anyway, and we'll talk about some of that in future episodes. But you know, why a vlog? I think there's a lot of really good vlogs out there. I like them all, from the Negrano stuff to the stuff Doug Polk did, to Andrew and Brad and Johnny Vibes, Christy Arnett, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a whole bunch, but yeah, I love the content, and I know a lot of other people do, and seeing some of the characters of the local casinos, seeing a lot of the hand breakdowns, and I think really helps out the player community, especially the rec player community. And also I think some interesting angles. I've been going to the Brazilian series of poker here for a year or so. There's no Americans down there. I think that'd be something interesting to vlog about. So it's kind of the impetus that's getting me started with the vlogging. Also, I think, you know, the combination of my endurance motorcycling sport, of riding motorcycles all across the country from time to time, how you can do that effectively and safely, logging 1,000 or even 1,500 mile days, getting proper rest, and lurching forward, and being able to do that. It reminds me a lot of the sort of dogfighting and risk mitigation scene in naval aviation and carrier-based aviation. While it's a very dangerous line of work, you know, you mitigate the risks, and you ensure you're doing everything in your power, be it a checklist, procedure, the training that you get to minimize sort of the catastrophe. And if I had one tip for myself for a possible migration to professional poker, it would be, you know, use the same mentality. You gotta forego the catastrophic event, especially if you go up a level, right? If you're a 2-5 player that's going to go play the 5-10, and those sessions always end with you losing a big pot. Well, that's sort of the catastrophe of other things. The catastrophe of motorcycling around, you know, 400 miles at a time, getting gas as fast as you can, and keeping it moving so that you can cover tons of ground, or more ground than other people doing the same sort of thing. But that's a whole other world. We'll save that for other videos. I think this series is going to be primarily poker based as you get geared up for the BSOP Millions that starts just before Thanksgiving. So I think what I'll do is I'll take you through recent 2 trips to Ocean's 11, and in Oceanside, California. We'll walk through maybe 4 hand breakdowns, and then we're going to also be delivering a motorcycle to Minnesota, to the state of Minnesota in November. So that'll be interesting. I'm gonna make a video about that, but I'll probably stop and play a little bit of poker on the way there as well. So that'll be it. I'm gonna leave the venue a surprise for now. But I think that's it for introductory remarks. We'll get to know, let you know a little bit more about me as we make more of these things. I've got some fancy intros being worked on right now that should be in place before we get to Brazil. So that'll be exciting, give a little branding to it. And yeah, thanks for watching. And if you like the content, you want to see more, let me know how to change it in the comments, and please subscribe, and I'll see if I can keep putting videos out. Appreciate it. See ya. Did you think we'd forget about the poker hands? We did not. I've got some graphics from Poker Bankroll Tracker that I voiced over. We'll do that for this first video and see really what's going to work best. I've got my straddle t-shirt that I wore for both of the sessions, and my BSOP wear to spread the word. So yeah, enjoy the poker hands, and let me know if you would do things differently, or if you want to question my mad genius play. Okay, on this one, I am basically in the cutoff with 7-9 off. There's two players not in the hand to my left, so it's going to fold around to me. Table dynamic, the big blind and I have a history. He's a recreational loose player who'll be tight for 2 hours and not play a single hand, and then he likes the challenge of playing pots with me. Not very creative, really likes to check raise. It's like his favorite move. So knowing all that, he's in the big blind. It's going to fold around to me. I'm going to open up with the 7-9 in the effective cutoff. Button's going to fold, and the big blind's going to come along. So we're going to have a fairly favorable flop here with 8-6-5 flopping me the nut straight. No clubs obviously there. He's going to check it over to me, and range-wise, he has any two cards here. So he'll play 2-8 in the big blind defending. Maybe not 2-8, but just about any hand. So call it top 90% of hands. So pretty difficult to reach him there. anything from a straight flush here to under cards. So I'm going to go ahead and c-bet out 25. He'll call pretty quickly, and that'll bring us to the king of spades. So in the king of spades, he's also checking again, and I'm going to go ahead and bet out 75 into the $92 pot. He tanks for the longest time. Like I said, he loves to check raise, and his mannerisms, I was almost sure he was going to check raise, which would kind of lead me to believe he has at least a big club, if not clubs already, or a set perhaps on the flop, something like that. He was going through all the same motions. He counts out the bet. If I'm using big chips, he'll always count it out in red chips, and then he usually does some kind of check raise move, pushing both stacks out. And so it kind of looked like that. It was a good 2 or 3 minutes, and he finally just makes the call for 75. And we go to the river. Of course, a fourth club comes out. And again, the check raise frequency is pretty gnarly with this guy. So we'll go ahead and check it back to him and turn over the nut straight. And fortunately or unfortunately, we see his hand is going to be the low end of the straight. So not necessarily a favorable river there. Could have got perhaps some more value if he would have popped it on us on the turn. That could have been a really nice hand for us, but we'll win that pot, and thought it was interesting. So in this hand, we're going to do the donk corner. So these are my hands that I regret the way that they were played, not necessarily outcome based, but either just a ridiculously poor way to play a hand. Sometimes I'll win them, sometimes I'll lose them. Sometimes it's nuance, but in this one, this is an example of maybe what not to do, and we can all learn and grow from it. So here we go. So in this hand, I am in the cutoff. It's going to fold around to under the gun 1. He's going to raise it up to 20. Low jack's going to come along. It's going to come to me, and I'm looking down at, I hid the cards by mistake on this one, but I'm going to have ace-10 offsuit with the ace of diamonds. And so I'm going to 3-bet, not a lot of 3-betting, pretty soft 2-5 game. I'm going to 3-bet up to 90 in position with a fairly passive button. I was not playing a lot of hands. Small blinds going to then also small blind, tight Asian player, younger gentleman. I haven't played too much with him, but he played virtually no hands. He's going to go ahead and 3-bet it up to $375, leaving himself 800 behind. That's going to fold around to me, and I kind of go into the tank, and we've got $50 of dead money. You've got my $90, so $140 of dead money. 140 more or 240 more to call here and just completely gamble. Put him on a pretty strong hand. That's why this is making the donkey corner, donk corner, if you will. And I remember thinking to myself, if this guy has aces, hopefully he has kings, so that way my ace is good. But if he has aces, what flop could I possibly get to have equity against a hand like aces with the old ace-10 off? Obviously, king, queen, jack would be a jackpot. But anyway, I go ahead and make the call, and we see a flop. Fairly favorable flop for the old ace-10 with the ace of diamonds. He's going to go all in. I think probably 95% of flops I need to fold. I'm going to continue on a Broadway draw. I'm going to continue with 3 diamonds. I'm going to continue with a 10. That's about it. Maybe So not a lot of flops that are going to hit me here. That's why it's such a bad call pre-flop. But anyway, he's going to go all in. I will call with almost a perfect flop. We'll get the diamond right away on the turn, and the gentleman shoves in his chips, and we'll win that one. He left after that hand. He was very respectful. Yeah, lucky. So we'll put that one down in the books for the lucky hand. Okay, so here I'm in the cutoff. We've got under the gun 1 is going to go ahead and raise it up to 20. It's going to fold around to the low jack with 1200 stack, who's going to 3-bet up to 70. This low jack player is in his 30s, recreational player, not 3-betting very much. And so that's sort of my read on him. I'm going to look at 7-8 of clubs in the cutoff. I'm going to come along for 70, and we're going to be heads up to the flop. So I have a fairly favorable flop, 7 high. Again, I'm putting the low jack on some suited aces and basically some overpairs. Probably not 3-betting, something like Queen 10 suited or King Jack suited. But fairly favorable flop for my hand. He's going to c-bet 75. I'm going to go ahead and call, and we hit a fairly favorable turn card with the 8 giving us top 2 pair. He's going to check this time, which is a little suspect. You know, maybe it is more something like a more suited ace I'm thinking at the time. So maybe perhaps a diamond draw, or he hit gin with you know, perfect setup with him with a set of 8s and me with a 7-8 top 2 pair, although fairly unlikely. I'm gonna bet out half the pot, 160. He's going to take a moment and raise it up to 400, which now makes me think it's either aces, kings, or a set of 8s, possibly a 7-7 set of 7s, but only one version of each one of those. So not super likely. I'm gonna go ahead and jam at this point. He's got $650 behind. I'm going to jam it up with my top 2, thinking his most likely hand is an overpair or a you know, ace king, ace queen, diamonds type hand. He insta calls. He said he knows he's beat. Turns over his aces, and wouldn't you know, an ace on the river. So we're not going to get that one, but you know, we're drawing to basically any ace, any deuce, any 4, and all the rest of the rivers would be just fine for us, as you can see there. Okay, so in this hand, again, passive 2-5 game. I'm in the small blind. It's going to be some limps. Under gun 1's going to limp. Low jack's going, high jack's going to limp, and the button's going to limp. $3 for me to call in the small blind. This is the same big blind that we talked about on the previous hand. His raising range here is pretty narrow. So $3 to see for a $25 pot with the old 4-gapper. So we'll see a flop fairly favorable of Jack 8-6 with the top and bottom. I'm going to go ahead and bet out $15 into this $25 pot. Under the gun 1's going to come along. This gentleman plays at Oceans 2-5 a lot. I don't want to say too much about him. Super nice guy, but not a lot of racing except at the river with the nuts or near nuts. So a lot of calling out of him. So him calling this, you know, $15 and $25 pot. We're now into 40 with my 15. I'm gonna put him on some good 8s, some straight draws, the 9-10 suited, Jack 8. Slow playing sets is definitely part of his game as well. although I would expect him to raise most of the time there. So very likely as a jack with a limped pot, or some kind of straight draw, 7-9, 5-7 would certainly be players, although early position 5-7. This guy's not too loosey-goosey, and that's what I'm thinking. Most likely a jack or an 8. He's not going to fold a jack unless it's his best jack, and he doesn't play too aggressively against me. So we'll see a favorable turn card of a 6, giving me bottom full house. Not the bottom, but 6 is full. I'm going to bet $45 into the $65 pot, or $55 pot, excuse me, 45 into the 55. He is going to call pretty quickly. Again, I'm thinking he's on a one pair type hand, or he's going to get, best case scenario is something like Ace-6, and he's just waiting to spring his trap on the river. The river is an ace, so about one of the only hands I'm losing to is Ace-6, but yeah, most value hands here I'm in a good position. So what I'm going to do is go ahead with the overbet and bet 205 into the $145 pot, and he just snap calls with just a single jack. So he knows that I'm a creative player, and me betting the ace is a pretty common outcome. So if his jack was good, he feels pretty good that it's still good, unless I had a hand like Ace-8, just kind of getting inside of his head there. So 6 is full of jacks is going to get the insta call with the queen jack off. So that's I thought that was an interesting play where the overbet on the river for value is going to get looked up, as it looks pretty bluffy, as I've got bluffs a decent amount of the time, whether it's